Caresta, if you always ahead of me. I love that. So we are recording this today. We are excited about our Prospect Lives. They are some of our best events. And the purpose of these is to really bring transparency to the site location process. We want to help Project Cold Goods find the best location in the United States for their first location. And we want to help the communities really ascertain if they have a good fit with the company and putting together the proposals. So today's agenda, first of all, we're going to do a quick overview, meet GSLI, what we do and who we are, overview of the project, give you some of the basic requirements, and kind of a eagle's eye perspective of the project. Then we're going to be talking with Mo today. He is with us, and he's going to kind of dive in. We'll go through a Q&A and learn more about the project finally. So should you be here? Got quite a few attendees to this one. We had over 100 communities sign up to attend and be participants in this. We've got our community clients. Those are our elite cities. Those are the people we work with each and every day on our projects, and they represent each of their states. We've got trial communities, some communities that are also looking at becoming a part of our elite cities program, and observing companies and site locators. Those are other companies that may want to see if they qualify for us to do a Prospect Live, and then site locators are on here to kind of learn more about the project and how they can help their projects. And then observing communities, those that might not be a good match but really want to learn what is in the mind of a company when they're considering expansions or relocations. Few housekeeping items. Everybody's already muted. There is a Q&A button down at the bottom throughout the presentation or the communication. Go ahead and ask questions if you have them. They'll queue up in our Q&A. If it's an appropriate time, we will answer them, but we'll probably save those till after we get through some of the Q&As that have already been submitted and we're going through. And if we ask you to raise your hand, you can raise your hand. That'll help us find you here on the panelist or the attendee board and bring you on live if we need to go more in depth. Reminder, we are transcribing and recording this as we speak. So we will make this accessible to you to make a proper presentation if you want to review any key points when putting together. Who's with us? Myself, Eric Kleinsorge, Ashley Kleinsorge, who will be acting as the moderator when we get to the Q&A. She is our project manager. She works with each and every project in terms of getting intake forms, getting the data, and working with the communities and coordinating the workflow to and from the projects. And we've got Mo. Mo is a great individual. I enjoyed meeting him at MODEX. Mo is actually, on these project lives, you never know because our individuals are very busy. And he's actually just got out of a meeting in Canada. And so he'll be joining us actually from his own personal studio, which is his vehicle. But we've already sound checked it. It's perfect. And we're excited to have Mo join us today. Quick overview of GSLI. We are a site location consulting firm for communities and expanding companies. So we're really the bridge between the two. We are a exclusive member of Elite Cities, which we form in each state of up to five communities that we turn to help us gather intel and information about each individual state whenever a project comes through our marketing efforts or through our meetings at trade shows and things like that. Communities in our elite cities, they can submit on unlimited number of projects that we entertain and help each year. And then non-member communities, we allow them to make one submission each year to help our companies get the best submissions possible. We've been in business for coming up on 30 years. I hate to date myself, but we've worked over 2,000 companies, with over 2,000 companies. 53,000 jobs have been created from our projects. 6.3 billion and growing of total capital investment, and 31 million square feet of space that we've secured. You can find all of this. Most of you have probably been to our portal, but it's www.gsliprojectportal.com. Currently, we have 83 active projects that we're trying to find homes for, and you can go in, peruse those, get the details, and take a look at those at any time. Got a quick poll. Chris, if you could throw up that poll. I'm going to be in DC at the Select USA. We have a booth. It's 1041. If you're going to be there, I'd love to meet with you personally. Come by, mark that booth down. We are co-exhibiting with one of our elite cities, Junction City. So if you are there, please come by. It is a great show. We covered it last year, and looking forward to this year. And we'll keep that up for a couple more seconds and then take it down. So the project, Ash, if you could, I'm going to go ahead and have you kind of give a quick overview of the project, and then we'll bring Mo on for some Q&A.
Yep. So Project Cold Goods, they're looking for a building around 25 to 50,000 square feet. They would like a build to suit. So looking for buildings, one that might not be the best fit right now, but something they could transform into a good fit. They'd like to select a site in the next 3 months. Start, getting the submissions in as quickly as possible so that we can start vetting them with Mo. And then 10 to 20 jobs will be created from this project. I'm sure that there's room to increase that in the future, but that's the baseline for where they'd like to start. And then this is a national search, a couple locations in mind, but he really is open to seeing where the best fit will be. And that's up to you guys to help him determine that.
Yeah, and something I've seen during almost all of our projects, the short list has always changed anywhere from 8 to 10 times. So we have what's called our initial areas of interest, which we do some initial benchmarking for the project. And that helps us paint a better picture to how other communities align with them, and really take all of that information to make the best site choice for them. And some of those things can include transportation costs, if they need certain logistics factors like port or rail, land cost, labor costs, all of those things that are just things that you want to consider. And ultimately, sometimes the tipping point can be incentives. So getting a good overall perspective of the project's needs and align it with the community. So that's where we want to go into now. We want to kind of dive in, meet Mo, talk with him about his project, so that you guys can make a good judgment if your community is a good fit for him, so you can put a submission in and help Mo find a good home. Mo, I'm going to bring you back on. Hey, Mo.
Hi, Eric.
How are you? So quickly, I met you at MODEX. We were at the show. You were walking around, and something at our booth captured your eye. We had a wonderful conversation. I think it was almost 45 minutes. And since then, we've been connecting back and forth. You are a busy individual, and we appreciate that. And so from that, we've talked about Mo's goals, and we can dive right into the questions. For our people in the audience, if you do have a question, use the Q&A box to send your question. Please provide your name and location in that question so that we know where, kind of a feel for where you are when answering the question. And then just simply ask your question, and we'll go through those. We'll work through those because they get queued up. But Mo, why don't you first start? I know you just came out of a really good meeting and positive meeting there, but for the audience, kind of talk about what your company does and what products does it produce, and kind of paint a picture for what you're looking for.
Great. Thank you, Eric. My name is Mo, and we are a family business specializing in Middle Eastern and international food distribution in Canada. We are looking to expand in the US. We have had great success in helping many brands and products producers in Canada to list their products in chains like Walmart Canada, Loblaws, Sobeys. We are the food that we sell is the second most trendy food in North America. Number one is Indian, number two is Middle Eastern food and international food. So we are looking to grow and use our expertise in providing brands and products access to grocery stores, independent stores, and mainstream
Perfect.
into the US market.
Perfect. So in terms of the motivations, this is going to be your first US expansion. What's driving that decision? What's motivating the company to say, hey, let's take a look at the US market and grow?
The growth in the US market, our segment is growing 10 to 15% year on year, and the US market represent 8 to 10 times the size of the Canadian market, where we believe there's a big opportunity for us to grow and build our business.
Perfect. Let's talk about the site itself. Let's start with any key parameters, any must-haves for the site that you're looking for.
We would like to be within 100 kilometers or 80 miles from a major metropolitan city, within 100 to 150 miles from major ports. We do imports, and also we buy local from Canada and the US. So we want to be accessible in terms of highway system, transportation costs. The location should be efficient to distribute products across the US.
Okay. And to build on that, talking about logistics, how do you move the product into the facility and out of the facility? Do you use truck? Do you use rail, air? What's your preferred?
Most of our is trucks, sea freight. So we need the accessibility to a seaport or an inland train terminal where containers are accessible or easy to deliver to our site. We don't use air freight, so we mostly use train or trucks, trailers.
Okay. To kind of expand on that, is train a must-have or a positive?
If the state is an inland state, if they have, let's say, for example, the port of New York, material arriving to the port of New York. In Canada, we have the port of Montreal, and then there is a rail system for Toronto. So we have a dry port in Toronto where shipping companies ship products from the main port to the dry port competitively. So if the state is not close to a major port within 100 miles to a major port, then having access to a rail port or a dry port is significantly important.
Okay. In terms of your jobs, I think you had started or stated there was maybe probably 10 to 20 jobs to start in the facility. Paint a picture on what type of jobs those are and what kind of skill requirement.
We have a wide spectrum of skills. We will need order pickers. We will need warehouse supervisors. We will need inventory controllers. We will need warehouse managers. We will need IT specialist we use a SAP system, a WMS system. We need IT specialists or integrators, accountants, and salespeople.
Okay. In terms of that, on a 1, 3, and 5 year plan, what do you feel in terms of the total number of employees you'll need to handle the growth?
Our plan is to invest in a facility where we can have automation and efficient logistics. I believe if we build up to 50,000 square feet or 75,000 square feet, we could reach up to 40 people.
Okay. So talking
Minimum,
about, okay,
minimum of 40 people.
perfect. Now, I guess that I don't know if this question comes up, and I don't think it does, but in terms of that, let's say this is facility one. Is this going to be the main facility and only facility, or could it lead to additional expansions, other locations in the US?
So because we're starting off, this is going to be our first hub. In Canada, we have one hub in Ottawa. In the US, we're looking for the first hub. The US market size is much larger. Over the time, we might have to have another strategic hub to deliver goods at a competitive cost. So ultimately, we might need to go or expand to another hub. At the same time, while we are in this major hub where we centralize our inventory and our management, we will require satellite sites depending on the location we are in. If we want to serve, for example, if we are in Texas, for example, or if we are in South Carolina, we will have a cross-docking locations and sales, let's say in New York, in Chicago, in Detroit, in California. So a major hub is the one we are talking about. We will have other smaller facilities ranging between 5,000 to 10,000 square feet in different major states.
Okay.
Or where we are closer to the markets, So if the business, for example, we are in Texas and we have a lot of demand also in California, we will have another another location to service business and deliveries to the state of California or the state of Chicago or New York or
Okay.
whatever.
So in terms of that, in terms of the product, is it a finished good that you're importing and then distributing from the facility, or is there any assembly, packaging, or anything done at the facility itself?
Step one of our business model is finished products. So we buy locally from food manufacturers. Also, we import. So it is a ready products for delivery. We will, after a few years, get into packaging of certain products that are available in the US to sell it throughout the US and possibly export it back to Canada or somewhere else.
Okay, perfect. Now, this is always just a good question. We have a lot of communities on here that you might not be considering initially, so they need to know what kind of factors they can bring to the table. But right now, in terms of taking a look at the U.S. And in the beginning stages, do you have any initial areas of interest that you're kind of trying to compare to each other?
Not we are learning about the dynamics of the US. We are investigating where's the optimal place to be. I believe we're open to any location that can help us do the business at an efficient cost. We are in a distribution and we are a very important part of the supply chain. Cost of investment and cost of delivery make us either very successful or not successful. So we're open to both anywhere in the US. This hub will serve and help us grow the business. And if ultimately, if we need to be in another location, there will be another location where the size of the business justifies investment in another side. The current is a location where we can it is affordable, the labor is affordable, is available, there's training because you need people that are able to be trained. not really very basic labor. You need to we use systems, so people should be trained. So we are open. For us, we can operate from anywhere.
Perfect. That brings up another good point. This kind of relates back to what you were talking about earlier in terms of describing your product being a specialty food. In terms of either logical industry clusters, does it make sense to, is that a positive if a community can identify, hey, we already have a bunch of food distribution companies here, or does the general makeup of the population that would consume your food product make a difference?
Our type of product is being consumed increasingly by the mass. So everybody is aware of the Middle Eastern food, the hummus or the kubbe or the falafel. So we are not really just tied to a specific demographics. Our products are demanded by every type of cultures, every type of ethnicity. So it is a plus point if we are closer to people who consume this kind of food, but it doesn't stop us. The business is going to be national.
Perfect. In terms of your employees, a lot of the communities in the United States, they offer training assistance programs. How important are those to your development of, assisted training and working with your employees?
Very important. We have a lot of support here in Canada from the government, different agencies that we do sales training. They do for us. So we get grants for sales training for newcomers, where we can send them to specific training, or we are paid for that training time. Employees usually require 3 to 6 months of training to become efficient at their job. So it is extremely important.
Okay. So let's talk about, I always get this question in some form. In terms of electrical, water, or gas requirements for the facility, are there any that you are using a lot of, or are there any special requirements for those?
Okay, so in terms of the land size, we require a minimum depth of a land that is around 500 feet, because we have trucking coming in. So to 500 square feet would be a minimum width of the land. The length could, if we're talking 1,500 feet, depending on the size of the. We need a rectangular land that has access from at least one or two roads. We prefer to have access a corner lot to make accessibility for the trucks in and out, and for the employees and others entrance. We would like to have a minimum of a height, zoning limitation on height to be not less than 50 feet. If there is no limitation, it would be great. Our building could be up to 75 feet high. Water, we do not consume a lot of water. So if there's no city water, we're fine with well water. But water that can, depending on the municipality or the location, the fire. For us, fire water is our accessibility to city water for fire is really important to reduce the cost of investment in the fire code and fire sprinkler system in the building. In terms of sewage, we do not consume a lot. So if there is no connection to municipal sewage, we are fine with septic.
Okay. Now, is the entire facility cold storage, or is it broken up?
It is broken up. So we are a full service house. We deliver products that are dry, cold, and frozen.
Okay. Does that, and you broke up just a little. You may have answered that. Are there any special electrical requirements for the cold storage?
Yes, yes, we will need at least 600 amps. I think it's called 600 amps power.
Okay. All right. You mentioned trucks, so it'd be a good time. I'm glad you brought up the ceiling height. I was working with the community this morning, and they were talking about their ceiling height restrictions in their community. So I'm glad you pointed out the
Extremely,
fact that
extremely important, Eric. If we are limited to 20 feet, it will not work for us. 20 or 30 feet, it will be very difficult. The distribution efficiency comes with the height, with automation, with automatic pallet picking and positioning. So you need higher ceiling for the building.
perfect. In terms of the number of trucks, paint a picture of how many trucks in and out of the facility on a daily or weekly basis.
On daily basis, we expect to have around 20 to 30 trucks in and out.
Okay. All right. Couple more questions here, and then we've got some questions lining up over in our queue. What type of volumes of inventory do you require? Like when you bring the inventory in, how long does it typically sit there before you move it out? Is there a turn time? Because some of it is perishable.
Yeah, so it really depends on the products. Generally, as a distributor and a wholesaler, we like to keep an inventory, a minimum inventory of 3 months to make sure we can supply the consumers. So
Mo, you broke up again or you froze. I'm going to turn off your camera. Mo.
hello.
All right, you're back. You stopped for about 20 seconds. So
We have inventory that comes in on weekly basis, like dairy comes in there weekly. Meats come in almost weekly or every 2 weeks, and stored for we keep inventory of a month, and it's continuous movement. When it comes to frozen product, we have products that turn around 3-4 times a year. Shelf stable products, there's seasonality. Some products move in the summer. For beverage in the summer, comes in frequently. It turns out 5-6 times during the summertime. So it really depends on the products.
okay, perfect. Last question I have. I've talked to a lot of communities, and they've asked in terms of the communities offer a variety of different types of incentives. Are there any incentives that make most sense that help you besides the employee training type of incentive that would help you through the startup phases and getting this building under construction? If you can't find the right match and you get your preferred build to suit, what types of incentives or are you familiar with any of the incentives that might help you?
Okay, I'm not familiar with all the incentives you have in the US, so this is something we are learning, and we like to know what kind of incentives are there. For example, in Canada, we located our facility outside the major city. It's in a small town where they have a new industrial park. The land was subsidized, so the land price was very low compared to the city of Ottawa. An acre in our city is $25,000 compared to 300,000-400,000 in Ottawa. But it is conditional. We had to build. It's the purpose of the land was to help businesses establish their footprint and invest within 2 years. So that is what helped us. We have other incentives where we have from the government 7 years interest free on your equipment. You have incentives of tax incentives on your profits for a certain period of time. You have grants that come from rural Ontario economic development. That if we hire this amount of people, there is grants for establishing in this rural communities. So we are at a rural community, and we believe all of these help us reduce the cost of the investment and be able to be competitive and efficient on the long term.
Perfect. Thank you. Ashley, if you could, let's go through some of these questions. We've got about 7 that have come in. Ash, why don't we start off with Jim's?
Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Perfect. So Jim from Marshall County, Kansas, he is asking, do you need a building already in place or would you build it?
We are fine. We constructed our own building. We are fine to build our own. If the building is suitable, we might look into it. If the building is ready and is suitable, it is also possible.
Okay, perfect. John Augustine is asking, is this facility for lease or does the company want to own?
We want to own.
Okay. And then Bruce Armstrong is asking, what's your time frame? How soon do you want to be up and running the operation, or when must you be operating?
We have started testing our business in the US beginning of November last year, and we see very promising signs that there's a lot of potential for us to grow our business in the US. We would like to select first a state where we have to be in the next 3 months, and then find the right location. It takes around 1 year, 1.5 years if we have to start the greenfield, it will take us 1.5 years to build the building. If the building is ready, and it's usable, we are looking at it within the next 6 months to 8 months.
Okay.
And Bruce, thank you for your question. He was from Gallup, New Mexico.
Yeah. We've got David Branch from, where did that go? Sorry, 1 second. That question just disappeared. Okay, here we go. David Branch from Cumming County. What are your electrical needs? What size lot do you need? And do you feel an advantage for a centralized location?
Yes, we do. We hope we can be in a location that can be centralized to serve all of the US. When you have multiple locations or multiple hubs, it adds complexities in your business in terms of inventory, controls, efficiencies. So if we could grow in one location and that location is efficient to transport to major cities all around the US, it will be definitely a great place to be, and I'm looking forward to that place. We prefer to be centralized in our first location, and that's what's going to help us. We are trying to find a location that is suitable to be centralized, and we will not need to have multiple hubs, hopefully. I'm not an expert in electricity, but freezers and cold storage requires decent amount of power. We are not in big machineries, but we have 600 amps in our facility. I think we will have more automation in this facility in the US, so 600 to 1,000 amps should be sufficient.
Perfect. And then the lot size, what size did you need?
So 10 to 15 acres. I think the acres in the US and in Canada, they measure the same. A bit larger is fine, but not less than 10. And the depth of the lot, we need a minimum of 500 feet. So rectangular, 500 feet of depth.
Perfect. Rick Clifton is asking, would you consider a facility in the Southeast for your first facility?
What do you mean by that?
Rick Clifton, he's one of our elite city members. Shout out to Rick in Covington County, Alabama. So down around the southeast of the United States.
Uh, we are very open to the location. As I mentioned, if we have accessibility to major ports and transport, where the cost of delivering a container from any major port in the US to this place is cost effective, it will be workable for us.
Perfect. Paul asked about the land size, but we just went through that, so we can skip over that one. Minimum ceiling height. This, I
Yeah,
think
you
they
kind of
might.
cut it. Well, you cut out a little bit earlier on that. If you could
50 feet. 50 feet is a minimum.
Perfect.
Mo, just to expand on that, because there might be some height requirements if they're near airports or things like that. What's the maximum height you'd take it up to?
75.
75, 50 to 75.
50 to 75 is our comfort efficient building.
Great.
Bob from upstate New York, he wants to know, is a foreign trade zone designation important?
I don't know. I'm familiar with free zones. I don't know what are the pros of a foreign trade zone. I like to learn more, but we're open.
Okay. Rick asks again, would you be able to renovate a lower ceiling facility or require a new building? So if the ceiling was low on a building, could you bring it up to your standards that you need?
That is a very technical question, and I can't. I'm very familiar about the construction process and all the details that goes in construction, but it really depends whether it's a metal frame or it's a concrete or block. So it is possible. It has to. We can look at it, but if the ceiling is one of the things that's very hard to raise and cost a lot. But if there is an existing building with a lower ceiling, it could be used for a staging area, for cold area, and we build a higher building. So it's possible to have use the existing one while we connect it to a higher building for more efficiency. So we don't need the whole building to be high, because you have a staging area where you work with 18 to 20 feet high building. So if the existing building can connect to the future or another building, I think it is also possible.
And Rick and other communities, if you have available properties that might match those parameters, we have individuals that sit on our board that are professionals in that industry. Roof Lifters is a company that we rely upon or talk to. They can give you a free estimate or an estimate on, what are the costs that we could share with Mo and say, okay, here's a comparison to building and what it would cost to do that.
Bruce Armstrong from Gallup, New Mexico is asking, do you have any of your own products? If so, where are they manufactured?
Yes, we do have products that are manufactured in Canada. We have our own brands that we manufacture in Turkey, in Jordan, in Lebanon, in India. So we do have both. We work with international brands, local brands, and our own brands.
Perfect. Paul Krebs from state of Michigan is asking, what is the estimated capital investment and how is the project being financed?
So a building that is 25,000 square feet, the cost of construction in Canada, our building costs around $6 million Canadian, which is around $4.5 million 5 years ago. So it all depends on the building cost. we have in Canada, we have snow load, so the building cost is different compared to Florida, for example. So it all depends on the building cost, but I believe overall minimum investment in building will be in around $5 million, and we will have inventory of another $7 to $8 million. So we have self-financing, and we are looking for financing from U.S. banks. We have a great relation with Canadian government banks that they support initiative for Canadian companies to grow overseas. But we definitely will look at whether there is a municipal support in terms of financing or local banks, etc. So it's
Okay,
gonna be a mix.
perfect. Brenda Daniels is asking average wages for the employees. I don't know if you'll know that yet, but if you have a general idea.
In Canada, our average employee is around, in US dollars, around 55,000 US dollars in Canada.
Okay, perfect. Joe Livingston, do you want to have food processing such as dairies, cheese, and meat processing close by? Would that be helpful?
Extremely helpful. If we are close by to food producers, we can help them get their products into retail stores, and this is our expertise. We provide we have experience to deal with Walmart, with big retailers, and small and independent ones. So we have a wide scope of expertise in helping brands or local producers get into building their business. So we work closely with even startups or young entrepreneurs or small food processors to find the target of their products. We are not we are a family business. We are not a large corporation, so we feel towards our fellow entrepreneurs, and if anyone has a good product, we work with them closely to help them and show them the way to grow their product sale.
Perfect. Warren Unsicker, sorry if I'm not saying that correctly. He's asking, are raw products something that would be helpful, or are you only buying finished products?
It really the raw product is a very wide it's a wide thing. So if you mean, for example, grains or pulses, or yes, if pulses are nearby, we might, as I said earlier, stage 2, have a packaging, sorting and cleaning and packaging line, because we are in that, we do sell these products to our customers. So it is very possible, if there's farms and elevators nearby, to buy from them raw products, because it is consumed by the stores that we sell to.
Okay. Carlos from Imperial County, California asked, do you have a need for natural gas?
Depends. In Canada, we use natural gas to heat the building, not for the purpose of our business operation other than heating. All our equipment are electric, so for food, we use electric equipment.
Okay. And then
Gas will be only for heating.
Okay. And he also asked, which countries do you import from?
We import from Denmark, Spain, Austria, Turkey, Egypt, Lebanon, Jordan, Saudi, Kuwait, India,
Everywhere.
Vietnam.
That's a geography test there.
Yeah.
Yes.
Bruce Armstrong has another question. Would you prefer direct rail access, or else what distance would you want to be from rail?
So the rail, there is two type of rail. If there is no dry terminal, the rail doesn't really help us. The purpose of rail is that the rail terminal is connected to the seaport. So if the shipment is arriving in sea, shipping lines can ship for us the containers all the way through rail, like what's the situation here in Canada. from Montreal to Toronto is going through the National Railway train. So the real importance is to have accessibility to the port.
Okay.
So rail terminals they should have what we call container lifting equipment.
Perfect. Warren asked the clear height. You said 50 feet, correct?
Yeah, minimum.
Minimum. And then David Branch, he's asking, do you need access to local automation companies?
David's
Yeah.
from Cumming County, Nebraska, another one of our elite cities. So excited to have him on here.
We are learning a lot about automation. We believe automation is the way to go in the logistics and the distribution. So it is definitely super important or super helpful.
Okay, great. Todd Tucker asked, how many containers are shipped to you a month?
It will be at least 20 to 30 containers a month.
Okay. And
Awesome.
that was the last question, if nobody else has any more.
That's our last question. If you have any other questions, feel free to put them in there. We're rolling up on 45 minutes, which we try to shoot and respect Mo's time and your all's time. But we do want to be here and answer questions. But I want to get to the submission process. So our submissions are going to be due July 12th. You'll go to the portal. We're going to put up a poll here, Caressa. If you put on here, yes, that will just indicate that we should be taking a look for a submission from you. And maybe one of our community assessment directors can reach out to you, walk you through the submission process, review your submission and make sure it's clean. Good. We got a lot of good submissions that are wanting to come in, and it's quite all right to be unsure. Rewatch this, take it to other people in your departments, and make sure it's a good submission. We only want to put good communities in front of Mo and respect his time also. So the process is we'll review those submissions, we'll get them in, we'll present them to Mo. Mo will take a look at it and we'll kind of decipher through which ones that they want to kind of begin shortlisting and identifying if doing some studies in terms of things that appropriate to his business and really come up with a short list. And then if necessary, we'll do a roadshow tour or we'll set up one-on-one calls or a secondary shortlist call with Mo for those communities so that Mo can ask questions and return, get some of the answers that he needs to help him further define it. And then our goal is to help Mo find the most successful location in the U.S. so he can open up several more. And so I want to thank everybody here for taking the time. Here's our contact information. You can screenshot it if you want to reach out to me directly or Ashley. We're here to answer any questions that you have and coordinate them. Most questions will be answered through the portal. We have an answer section there that you can refer to. You'll get any updates on your questions or other people's questions. But we know you have you're busy individuals just as Mo is, and we appreciate you taking the time to spend with us here on this Prospect Live. We'll be sending out the recordings, and we don't have any other questions.
We had two more quick questions.
We do have. Hey, Becky, it's Becky again from Nebraska.
Yeah, I want to make sure these get answered. So she says, you mentioned a corner lot. Do right turn only options matter more than a regular corner lot?
Can you ask me again?
Yes. You mentioned a corner lot. Do right turn only options matter more than a regular corner lot?
A corner lot, I don't know what specifically the difference is, but a corner lot help us in accessibility because I have something in mind in terms of how the building is located. So as long as it has a access from two sides, it will be very helpful.
Okay. And then last question, Joe Livingston wants to know, is there a location that you would prefer or state as of right now?
I'm open to all. I
That's
like to
great.
see we connect we connect with our community. We like to feel we are part of the place we are, and we are very happy where we moved in VARS. It's a rural community, and I believe we will do. We are fine with whoever is going to be the right place for us.
Perfect.
Awesome. Everybody, thank you for your questions. Mo, again, I know what it took for you just to set aside some time to be here and be live with us. So thank you so much, and all the time you spent with us so far. We're looking forward to really working on your behalf and finding you the best location.
Thank you, Eric.
All the communities, thank you so much. Until we meet again on one of our Prospect Lives or our Master Series, thanks again. And from our headquarters here in Dallas, Texas, we're signing off. Thanks so much.
Thanks,
Thank
everyone.
you. Bye-bye.